I think we should make a start. So thank you for joining. Let's just bring these slides on. We're going to be talking about strategic marketing today, putting a simple plan together. I'm here to entertain you until 11 o'clock, to try and keep you engaged, to try and keep that Leeds Digital Festival vibe going. I think there's been some amazing pieces of content so far. Hope you're all enjoying it. For those that missed my LinkedIn the other day, it's on my YouTube channel, and I've got another one next week as well. Are we enjoying Leeds Digital Festival? Put some yeses in the comments. If you're not, put no's. I'm assuming you are, otherwise you wouldn't be here, would you? Yes, great so far. My first time, congratulations, first seminar. That's amazing. Good to have you. Kira's saying yes. Rebecca's saying yes. First this year. First for me too. Oh, I'm honoured that you've chosen mine to come to. I'm going to do some quick polls just to get an idea of where you're at with things. So marketing, you obviously want to come up with a plan, I guess. I'd love to know how you feel about marketing in the current climate. It's a testing time, isn't it? It's a crazy time. We've got hopes, we've got fears. Where are you with your current marketing? So there's a poll on your screen. How do you feel about marketing in the current climate? Is it time to invest and market strongly? Time to save money? Marketing isn't the top priority. Want to market, but worried it will send the wrong message? You just don't know what to do or don't know how to do it. Answer now. Let's get an idea of the room. Brilliant. Keep going. 50% of you have answered. Who's not watching? Who's messing about on Facebook or LinkedIn? Get back on the webinar. There's a poll to answer. 80% of you have answered. You got 5 seconds. Come on. Let's get to 90%. We're on 85%. Who's not doing much? Oh, we're going to hit the 90%. One more. Come on. Well, actually, a few more to get 90%. We've got it. We've got it. We've got it. We've got it. Right, I'm going to stop the poll. So interesting. Oh, interesting. Let me share this with you. The winner is want to market, but worried it will send the wrong message. Do you know what? That is a lot of what I'm hearing. 30% of you time to invest and market strongly. That's good to hear. 11% want to save money and marketing isn't the top priority. So I'm going to challenge that. But at the same time, I understand that you don't necessarily have the cash right now, but maybe you could invest the time. 22%, that's a significant 1 in 5 people don't know what to do. And 5% don't know how to do it. So hopefully I'm going to help you all here. And if you've got questions, please do ask. Lindsay's saying struggling with social media promotion, if paying, which platforms? Confer jumping on the bandwagon. I'm not sure what confer jumping means, but okay, good to know. And I'm just going to ask you just another question. So I'm curious about your existing customers or your existing clients. So have you been in contact with your existing clients? No, not enough. On the list to do. We've done some communications with existing, tried but not sure how to reach them to get them to engage. No, haven't. Or we've picked up the phone to our core existing as well as other things. I know that all of these might not, there might not be an answer necessarily for you here, but it would be really helpful to gauge where you're currently at again. So we've done some. So we've got 60% of you have answered. Come on, I need to engage you. I need to keep you entertained for an hour. This is interactive. This is a conversation. This isn't just you watching me. We've got 75%. Keep going. Keep reading the question. Keep answering. Going to give you 5 seconds. 5. We're in close contact with all our clients, Megan says. Who's not answered? Come on. Get to that screen. Answer the question. Okay, I'm going to stop the vote. And the poll. So the winner, we have done some communications with existing. 4% not enough yet on the list. 7% tried but not sure how to reach them. 28% we've picked up the phone to our core existing, and 7%. Listen, well done to you, 28%. I think that is the most important thing, and I would challenge you all to focus on that one. And even if you've got an audience of 10,000 people, even if you're a consumer, think of the the real people that are engaged with you, or that bought from you or that know you, think about them and pick up that phone. A phone call is so much more important than an email. I know we've got Kira here saying that you're a pre-start. Okay, I'll let you off. So perhaps there's some pre-starts in here, or only just started, and yes, I will forgive you for that. Got some questions. Okay, I might come back to that question, Alice. Thank you. But please keep throwing questions in. Using Zoom to engage with lots of suppliers. Zoom is great. Pick up the phone. I think it as a customer, as a client, I think it can mean a huge amount. Okay, I've just got one last poll. So your business right now, I want you to be really, really honest with yourselves. Where is your business currently at? So is normality only a few weeks away? So that's when you can focus. Or are you holding out for lockdown to end? So that's when you can restart. Have you already flipped your business and offering different products or services? Or are you working on new ideas and ways of thinking? So let's get answering the questions. I realize that there may be that this might not the answers there might not be for everyone. What am I trying to say? You know what I'm trying to say. There might be an answer there that you're looking for that's not there. I get that. Only 68% have answered so far. Come on, 70%. Ooh, keep going. Keep going. It's only the last bit of engagement. Then we'll have a break of engagement. All right. I'll just let you watch the screen and do some emails in the background. 81%. We'll go with that. So good to see that 65% of you are working on new ideas and ways of thinking. 13%, brilliant, have already flipped your business, which is great. Now then, guys, I'm worried about the 22%, the 8% and the 14%. I've sort of put those two things there. They're the similar answers. I've just written them in a different way, and I worry about the 1 in 5 of you that are thinking normality or lockdown is going to end soon, and or normality is going to come back soon. I would highly challenge you. I think depending on the demographic of people, depending on their age groups, then some people will go back to normal very quickly. But I think the majority will change habits, change buying patterns, change how we interact. And I would suggest, and maybe I'm being harsh, but I'm here to help you, and if that means challenging you, I wonder if some of this is head in the sand and some of this is hope that things will just return. And my advice to you is, no, you need to start at least getting on to where 65% are, which is working on new ideas and ways of thinking. And that's just my take on it, and hopefully I've not peed anyone off there, but that's how I feel. And as I don't know you all, some of you could be in different positions, but that would be my thoughts. I just want to tell you a quick story here as well. So first of all, who's this webinar aimed at? So businesses with a plan but don't feel that it's effective, businesses that are not sure what to do right now, and businesses that don't have a plan, or are unsure how to come up with one. So hopefully I'm going to help as many of you as possible, and that's who it's aimed at. There's a lot of common sense in here. If there's some strategic marketers watching already, and there's some people from marketing agencies or some marketing directors, then you might look at some of this and think, well, actually, I know this already. Hopefully this is going to challenge you. Hopefully this is going to give you the encouragement to do something different, or to be more strategic, or to put little things in place to be able to measure whether things are working. So, and for those that are totally new to this and don't have an idea where to start, hopefully it gives you a focus. So I want to start with a story and where I've come from. And if anything, I think we all engage with stories better. We can understand things, and when we're told stories, we can relate to it. We can hopefully start relating. And I want to just give you a bit of where I've come from to try and give you sort of some thoughts on what potentially you could be doing. So my story started on it was prior to the 15th of March, but the story I'm about to tell you starts on the 15th of March. And on the 15th of March, it was the moment that the government took coronavirus seriously. They didn't do lockdown. They didn't enforce lockdown until the 23rd. But on the 15th of March, they took coronavirus seriously. And on that day, we'd taken our kids out of school a week or two prior to schools closing, so we were sort of ahead of the game with regard to knowing where this was going. I could hear pain. I know history teaches us stuff as well. And for me, instantly, I knew that there was 4 things that businesses needed to do. I knew that it was about survival. I knew that it was about considering opportunity, how to differentiate, and how to recover strongly. If you don't do anything, there's a huge risk of not recovering well. The reality is that the businesses that do work hard on this right now will recover strongly. The example history is Kellogg's. So during the Great Depression, they came out the category leader. They spent they doubled their marketing spend during the Great Depression. They had adverts like this on the right hand side here, and they totally went ahead. Now, I'm not suggesting that any of us are Kellogg's necessarily, although it would be brilliant to think that some of us are. But they came out of this growing their profits by 30%. So, out of the Great Depression. So this for me is about opportunity. It's about recovery. It's about having the resources and the tools to be calm, to understand what's going on. And I think, to be fair to the government, they are helping in lots of different ways. But it's about, for us as businesses, to really, truly consider opportunity, to try and differentiate, and to recover strongly. So what did I do on the 15th? As I said, on the 15th was the first day that the government took this seriously. Well, by the 16th, I reset my strategy and I was all go. Now, my business is quite different to a lot of others. This was my strategy for what I want to achieve. What do I want to achieve right now? Well, I want to achieve helping people. That's my key goal. Is it smart? Probably not. We're going to come on to that shortly. But my, without going into too much detail and spending too much time, my key thing was, how can I help people? So on the 16th of March, I was already putting content out on how I could help people. On the 17th of March, I'd set up a Facebook group with other businesses to create an independent environment where people could get advice and help each other. On the 18th of March, we already had PR. BBC Radio Leeds had contacted us. We were in some of the local newspapers and press, and that was on the 18th of March. On the 19th of March, I'd put some resources together, and that was around helping businesses survive, helping businesses think about some of the things that they could implement. It was only on the 23rd of March that the Prime Minister announced a nationwide lockdown. So just to show you where I was in the timeline, the 25th of March, Leeds City Council invited me to an emergency response group, and then that led into doing 11s. So on a Monday we do 11s, and we've had some great engagement there. We've then doing live Q&As with all sorts of different experts discussing remote working, accounting, how to rock at video, how to be brilliant at LinkedIn, how to Leeds City Council. Even Eve Roodhouse did a live Q&A with us, which was brilliant. And then we had Harry Bliss from Champion Health doing mental health, which was just phenomenal. What we've achieved in the last 28 days, well, you can see our membership there, 450 local businesses looking for support. You can see the post comments and reactions. So I'm trying to just demonstrate to you how I flipped and how I flipped my business, but also reset my strategy. Thank you for the comments, by the way. And I should have said this a lot earlier, that when you type something, just above that, you've got a blue bar where you can change the all panelists to panelists and attendees. And so currently, a lot of you are just typing comments to me, which is very kind indeed. But if you want others to see them as well, just change that to all panelists and attendees. And if you do have questions, please do ask. We've got a question here from Alice. We're doing quite a bit of comms, but our organic digital reach has suddenly dropped, so I don't think they're seeing everything we're doing. There's a huge amount of noise, isn't there? And so it's about really trying to find where to speak to them and how to engage them, and hopefully I'm going to come on to that very shortly. It reminds me of a campaign that we did in 2017, and if you Google this title, you'll find the blog. And it was literally, I walked in on Monday into the office and I said, we're doing this on Friday. Who wants to be involved? And within 4 days, we came up with a campaign and we raised $3,000. And this blog details exactly how we did it. So what I'm trying to get across here is these are the things that you need to think about. You need to think about how to be agile. You need to be thinking about how to be creative, how you can reach out, how you can be resourceful and helpful or entertaining. If you can't sell right now, depending on circumstances, then how can you at least be resourceful? How can you be helpful? How can you be entertaining? Some of these things are key things, nothing new here. Because if you look at how content marketing and inbound marketing works, it's about entertaining first and then becoming resourceful and helpful. So, so for me, this isn't suddenly a new approach. This is just taking it back to what works. You've got to really thoroughly understand your existing clients. You need to thoroughly understand your potential clients, and you need to more so understand their pain points and their pain points and their language. So important. I just realized that I didn't share those last results with you. That was the results of the poll. Anyway, sorry, I just got distracted. Let me just go back a second. So how would you, Rachel says, how would you approach this as a recruitment company? Many companies are freezing hiring, and it's hard for recruiters to engage with companies without looking selfish sales message. It goes back to what this slide's saying. It's understanding their pain points, okay? So it's truly understanding where these companies are at, what their current problems are, and what they currently need, and what they currently need to survive or to get through this. And that's the real key thing, is to really understand where they're at, so that when you make any approach whatsoever, you're totally talking in their language and understanding them and being empathetic, and that's the key thing, really. So what are the objectives? What are we trying to achieve here? What's the key objective? So it's about being more strategic with your marketing. It's about spending time in the right places. We're going to learn how to understand your clients, how to engage with existing and potential clients, and have a system in place to be able to measure success and continually change strategies to find ones that work. That's what I'm hoping that you'll all get out of this. So if you do have questions, please do ask, as I've said, and I will certainly try and answer them for you. Let's just go a tiny bit about me. This is about you. I want to try and help you, so I'm not going to spend long on this, except to say that I'm deeply rooted in search engine optimization. I was screwed by the SEO industry for tens of thousands of pounds many years ago, learned a huge amount, became really frustrated with the community, and decided to go off and help businesses understand what this is all about. And marketing for me is pretty much all self-taught, and I've been there, done that, and learned along the way. So the only way that you can achieve good marketing and having a good plan is by being very clear about what your business goals and objectives are. So important. So I'm just going to do another poll here, and it will be quite good to just get an idea. So with regard to visions, missions, and values, do you have clearly defined vision, mission, and values? So I've just put a poll out. Are they yes, fully documented, to some extent, or no? Now, I totally did not, when I started out in business, did not value a vision, mission, or values. I didn't see the point of writing this down. I didn't see the point of, so I know it. It's in my head. I know it. Why do I need to write it down? And it might change. Well, this is all what you might believe, but actually going through it and spending a few days trying to come up with these things, I realized that I was really wrong. So we've lost some people because we've only got 76% that have engaged here. So for those that are doing emails, feeding the cat, having a cup of tea, playing on LinkedIn, come on, I'm driving it. We're getting past 80%. Oh, we've got past 85%. Well done. You're back in the room. Good to hear. Okay, so let's see where we got to. So less than half of you have fully documented vision, mission, and values. I think they are so important. Sorry, I should share the results, shouldn't I? To some extent, 47% of got some way, and 30% haven't started, I guess. So I think the key thing here is you should all try and come up with a vision, mission, and values. And there's so many resources online. I'm sure you could make some progress with that. But having that document helps you go back to it every time, and any decision you're making, you go back to that document and you decide, well, actually, is this the right decision or the wrong decision? Should I be doing this? Because what I've written here actually doesn't match. So it's at that point that you should say no and stop doing it. So that's a real thing to focus on. With regard to business objectives, so let's just ask the same question. Do you have SMART business objectives? So SMART we're going to cover in a moment, and that's about having numbers and timeframes in your objectives. So yes, truly SMART. Yes, somewhat, but not written down. We've got objectives, but they don't have numbers. Not sure or no. So we're doing a poll for those people that aren't fully engaged. We've hit for 55% so far. Come on, guys, come back to the screen, answer the question. Let's see where you're at. Do you have SMART business objectives? So yes, they're fully SMART, somewhat objectives that don't have numbers. Going to give 10 seconds. We're on 73%. Come on, guys. If you're going to be here, then you've got to engage, because that's the only way you're going to learn. That's what I think anyway. We've got another question here from Francesca. So I'll come to that in a second. Let's stop the poll. Let's see the answers. So the answers are, we have objectives, but they don't have numbers. Okay. So I'm going to challenge that for you. Brilliant that 20% of you have documented SMART goals. 20% somewhat, but not written down. So again, I'd challenge you and say you need to start moving forward. Not sure, and we've got some no's as well. From Francesca, yes, but how do you get buy-in from the rest of the business on values? So without going into too much detail, because you could do hours on this, the best way to do a values, to come up with values, is doing a workshop with all your staff. And this isn't about your values. This is about your staff's team's values. And having facilitated and also been facilitated, it's unbelievable what can come out of hearing what your staff want, and it's trying to come up with something that then meets everyone's desire. And yeah, having gone through the experience, I learned a huge amount, and I'd highly recommend it. So hard to answer. Ooh, where's this gone? Sorry, 1 second. Kira, hard to answer. I would have said that they are truly SMART until maybe a month ago. Okay, so it's about resetting them now, isn't it? It's about re-looking at them and thinking, okay, where are we at? Sarah, how do we think we start to prepare, plan our marketing strategy for post-COVID? I wouldn't think about that. I'd think about having a long-term. So this is the way I would think. So here's a slide on SMART business and marketing goals and objective setting. The way I would think about it is, what's the big long-term objective? So that might be a 3-year, 5-year objective. You then might bite-size that down. So, and you might have a number of objectives as well. So it might be 2 or 3 objectives, but you bite-size it down and you say, okay, well, what's my 3-year? What's my 1 year? What's my 6 month? What's my 1 month? So how does my 1 month feed into my 3 month, feed into my 6 month, feed into my 5-year plan or 5-year objective? And again, I think it's so important to set these things, because without doing these things, your marketing will never ever be as effective or as useful as it could be. So SMART objectives, it's about specific, measurable, agreed, realistic, timely. It's about putting numbers into objectives. And so, for example, we might have an objective of how much we want to earn. We might have an objective of how many hours a week we want to work. We might have an objective of how many staff we want one day, or the size of the business, or the size of the turnover or the profit. All of these, or maybe the size of the number of sales, or the number of, we might understand our capacity, and therefore, let's say I'm a chiropractor, and I can fit X number of clients in per week or per month. Well, that straight away tells me the number of clients I'm looking for. Maybe I'm looking at servicing 10 clients a month, depending on my business. Well, let's write this down. once you, and as I said, you might have a number of objectives, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine. But they need to be smart. They need to be measurable. They need to be realistic. And you need to think, can I really achieve this? And that might be doing some research, going out and understanding the market, going out and understanding, the size of the market size. Now, this next bit, the OGSM, for me is the key to the marketing plan. Everything after this in this webinar this morning is all the elements you need to think of and the key principles. But the OGSM, I think personally, is your marketing plan. And the structure of that is really, really simple. So you take one of your objectives. Okay, I've got an example here. So this is let's say I'm a membership organization. I've come up with an objective, and the objective is I want to gain 100 members within 6 months. Okay, so that's my key objective. And I might describe that a bit more. So I might describe the size of the member or the type of member, or something else within that objective. But just putting a really quick spreadsheet together, 100 members of this particular size, paying this amount within 6 months. Now, the goals are the bite size of the objectives. So you split the objectives down into goals. So in this 100, 20 of them are type A members in 3 months. 10 of them type B members in 4 months. And this spreadsheet obviously goes lower down, and you'd have other types of members or other goals within there. So you've got OGSM, objectives, goals, strategies, measures. So the strategy is, how are you going to reach the goal? So this is what I'm trying to achieve, and the objective might be a short-term objective, a long-term objective, but it should all totally feed from the vision, the mission, and the overall objectives. So where does it start at the top? What are the values? What's the vision? What's the mission? What's our key objectives? And then what's our shorter term objectives? And once you've got those shorter term objectives, you then put them into this spreadsheet, your OGSM spreadsheet, and you then have you might have a number of different objectives on the left hand side, a number of different goals to meet those objectives, then a number of different strategies to meet the goals, and then a number of different measures to see if the strategy is working. So just as an example, and we've just got a chat here. So Lindsay's asking, can we have a copy of the slides? Absolutely. There'll be a full recording of this afterwards, and it'll be available on YouTube. So you'll be able to pause and rewind and listen to me again, or just mute me. That might be better. So Sarah's asked that question. I've answered it. And got any other questions? No so far. So please feel free to ask more with pleasure. I will try and answer them. So the just go back a step. So the strategy. So let's, for example, say, and I can hear you asking, by the way, how do we know our strategy? I'll come on to that in a minute. The strategy for meeting the first goal, which is 20 type A members in 3 months, let's say, we're going to try LinkedIn. We're going to try email marketing. For LinkedIn, we're going to put some measures in place. So we're going to say, right, well, what would good look like? We're going to do LinkedIn, but what would good look like? And without having an answer to that, then you shouldn't be doing LinkedIn. So you've got to say, what's good look like? And then put good in the measure. So here I'm going to say, we're going to connect with 50 type A's, and we're going to convert 10 of them. That would within X amount of time. That would be what good would look like. Now, depending on what the strategy is and depending on what the measures are, depends on how often you come back to this spreadsheet to see if things are working or not. So you might come back daily, weekly, monthly. As a minimum, you should be reviewing this on a monthly basis. But depending on what the strategies are and what the measures are, depends on, how often you should be coming back to relook at these and see if they're working. And the idea being is that you learn along the way. So if we find that LinkedIn's working, we think, okay, well, it's working for type A members. Should we try it for type B members? Or should we try it for a different objective that's lower down our spreadsheet? And we might find that LinkedIn works and it might be a type of thing on LinkedIn as well, of course. So the strategy might be deeper than that, and it might be, we're going to do this type of post on this type of profile on LinkedIn. And that strategy might really work well for this particular goal or this particular objective. It might not work for others, but it's about learning, and it's about continually going back to this plan and seeing what's working and what's not. Let's say we'll try email marketing. So we look at industry standards. Industry standard open rate is 20%. Click-through rate's 5%. If we have no idea where to start, let's put that as a starting measure, as just a starting point, really. If you've got questions, please do ask. Is this helping so far? If it is, put yes. If it's not, then put your question. So let's see. I'm just going to take a break for a second and have a drink. So it sounds like it's helping. If it's not, please do ask questions. Really good stuff. Good. Okay. So this is your plan. Everything I'm going to talk about from now feeds into this, really. So let's just consider some of these things. So the first thing is, you perhaps might want some secondary marketing goals. So if they're not ready to do whatever your measure is, what are the other things that they could do? If they're not ready to buy, if you're not ready to sell, what are the other things that you could get these people to do? So is it downloading a video? Is it watching a video? Is it subscribing to content? Are you building your email list? Could you ask these people to power something else? So in a lot of cases, my central point currently out of everything is this Facebook group that we've set up, the Yorkshire Business Support Group, Coronavirus Yorkshire Business Support Group. Now that's the center of everything. That's my campaign. So what that means is that all of my current objectives and goals are all around that. So my call to action at the end of this webinar is, feel free to go to the group. At the same time, if you don't want to join the group, I've considered some secondary call to actions. So you could power some social media around that. So I'm being really open with you here, and hopefully it doesn't feel like I'm trying to tell you anything, because I'm not. I'm trying to get across to you how you have, you might have a campaign in mind, so one thing in mind, and you think about how you can power that campaign. Ellie's just asking, should you Moscow your objectives? I apologize, I don't know what that's abbreviated for. So feel free to just make that clearer for me. So it's about having some secondary goals as well. So what are the other things that you could ask people to do if they're not doing exactly what you want them to do? Now, there's a huge array of different marketings. Thanks, Ellie. So must have, should have, could have, won't have. Should you? Well, yes. Yeah, I think that's a really good piece of advice, Ellie. Having some must have, should have, and could have objectives. I like that. As long as it feeds back to your vision and your mission and your values and what your overall objective, as long as it feeds back into those things, then definitely. Let's talk about the different types of marketing that you could have. So there's loads. And I just want to expand your mind, make you think about different things, and for the ones that feel that they can't do marketing right now, just to remind you, this is about understanding people's pain points, being empathetic, understanding what people need, and providing that resource, that help, that entertainment, that service, that product, depending on exactly what the current need is. There's an underlay company that I've been speaking to. They're frightened of shouting that they can sell carpet and underlays. What they've found out is that during this period, hotels are closed, and some of them are taking this as a great opportunity to refurb. But what they're finding is that they're struggling to get supplies of underlay because a lot of companies have closed down. Now, the company that I know that sells underlay is worried about marketing, but this is about knowing your audience, understanding your audience, going out and doing some research. Now that they've found that hotels actually could be in a position, that's where that's something you could consider and market to. Heather, what is SEO? So that's my background. That's where I've come from. Search engine optimization, getting higher in Google, making your profile work, making your LinkedIn profile, your Facebook group, or your website work for you and appear high in Google. Jason says, won't. Kira says, thank you. I've no idea to what. So no problem at all. Must, what was the last? So it was must, should, could, and won't have, because Elliot just put the comment to all panelists. If you want to change who you're typing to, just change it to all panelists and attendees. So types of marketing, we've got advertising. We could pay to be somewhere. We could pay to be to put adverts out. We could do all sorts of different types of advertising. PR, I think one of the best forms of marketing. I think it should be part of most marketing. So this is about getting good positive press, good positive stories about you and what you do. And I'm going to just spin to the top right of this slide, which is the cause, charity, and petitions. Now, when this slide was written, it was well before coronavirus, totally well before coronavirus. However, right now, cause marketing, charity marketing, petitions is a huge driver. Something that can really, really work, and it really powers things like PR as well. So it just matters even more right now. You could do promotions, so you could give discounts. The supermarkets are giving NHS discounts, and as an example. Social media. So you're probably all trying to shout on social media, all trying to get your stuff out there if you're not too worried about doing it. My advice is to really understand the pain points, understand the individuals, and to really focus on those individuals. Email marketing, something you could do. Storytelling. Like I told my story earlier, people relate to stories. So what is your story? What's your why? How have you got into this? How's your business got where it's at? Why are you passionate about this? Why are you trying to sell your products or services? Having that story is really important. Could you do some kind of sponsorship and align with someone else? Search engine optimization. Could you be using this opportunity to audit your website, to put some things in place, to build links, to put keywords in place? Influencer marketing. Could you look at trying to get recommendations, trying to get people to refer you and give you recommendations? Scarcity, making it difficult to buy. Look at toilet paper, look at hand gel. I'm not saying that you're selling these things, but if you've so as an example, if you're selling product, services, training, all sorts of different things, go back to your objectives. And potentially one of your objectives is, we're looking for 10 clients over the next 12 months that are spending 10 grand a month with us each, or 10 grand a year with us each. So you've defined it. What you've also defined is how much space you've got. You've got 10 spaces. So if you've got 3 clients, you've got 7 spaces. So when you're selling something, you say, I've only got room for 7 more clients. I've only got room for 5 more clients this month. I've only got room for X number of clients. I've only got this amount of stock. Scarcity marketing really does work, as long as it's authentic. Has to be authentic. Seasonal marketing, using the seasons, the different times of year. Direct mail, not sure if that's the right opportunity right now because we're all at home. Telemarketing, like I said, pick up the phone to your existing clients. So important. Existing clients can become referrers, can become influencers, can spend more money with you. Give them reassurance that you're there to help, listen to, that you understand their pains, and you're not trying to sell to them, or perhaps you are because they need your product or service right now. Inbound marketing, so that's very much tied in with content marketing. So that's putting good resources and getting people to come to you. Other promotions or freebies that you could do, events and roundtables. So obviously all online at the moment, but could you be putting some things together? What networking could you be doing? What personal selling could you be doing? What speaking could you be doing? All sorts of different marketing ideas here. I'm just trying to help you think about the different things, because what you've really got to focus on is the people that you're trying to sell to. And when I say people, you might be saying, well, I sell to businesses, and that's not people. Well, it is. Whether it's business to business or whether it's business to consumer, it's people to people. We're selling to people, and it's really important that we understand those people. I've got one more poll for you. So it's about personas and target audience. And I would like to know do you have documented client personas and target audiences? So for those that are not watching the screen, come back. We've got a poll running right now. Do you have documented client personas and target audiences? So we've got yes, we've got clearly defined. We have an idea about our different buyer personas. We can sell to anyone, most people, most businesses, so this isn't relevant. Not sure exactly what this means, or no, not done this yet. We've had 67% answer the question. So for those that are still feeding the cat or emailing or getting a drink, come back to the screen, answer the question, engage. Well done, thank you. We're on 82%. It's going well. 85%. Okay, let's see where we're at in the poll. Let's see the results. So the winner is, we have an idea about our different buyer personas. Well done to the 19% of you. Really well done. We've got clearly defined personas and they names are documented. Now, these 5% who can sell it to anyone, most people, most businesses, I'm going to have to absolutely challenge you and say that you are never, ever going to have a marketing plan that's going to work. Even if you believe that you can sell, and even if your product or service can be sold to anyone or most people, you have to have personas in place. Not sure exactly what this means, so I'm going to explain that in a minute. 6% of you and 15% of you haven't done this yet. Okay, so we're going to focus on 80% of you, really, aren't we? The 20% that have clearly got it and documented. As I said, this is a reminder, it's a challenge, it's a way to just make you think and get you thinking about this. So let's have a look at how we come up with personas and target audiences. So as I said, we are talking about people, but if we do sell to businesses, we do need to understand the business as well. So we've got the business. So let's think about the business. We've got the company. So how could we describe that company? Is it based on the size of the company? So the number of staff, the turnover, the profit? Ultimately, whatever it is you're trying to sell, you need to think about, well, would a business of 10 staff want to buy this, or would we be better selling it to a business of 50 staff? Where's our sweet spot? And by the way, you might have multiple personas or target audiences. So you might come up with maybe 10, 15. I've worked with many organizations where we've come up with that. At the same time, you might have 3 or 4 or just one. It doesn't matter how many you have. You can have as many as you want. What's important is having them, understanding them, and when you're doing any type of marketing, thinking of just 1 or 2 of those personas. And just because you have personas doesn't limit you. Okay, so take the example of schools. I know that not right now, of course, difficult time, but I think about how I could help schools. But anyway, just taking this away from COVID right now, I'd think about schools. So when schools buy something, we make websites, we sell websites. I know that when schools buy something, they only buy from people that understand schools. They only buy from people that have experience with schools. They're concerned about DBS and all sorts of different things. And so if I said, to a school, well, yeah, we sell websites, compared to we sell school websites, we understand how you need to engage with governors, the community. We understand how you need to increase parent comms, how you need to comply with Ofsted, all of that sort of terminology. That's really important. So a persona would be a specific sector or industry, potentially education or schools. Now, that doesn't mean we can't sell websites to anyone and everyone, although we'd be silly if we did that, because we'd go back to our vision, mission, values, our objectives, and it would turn out that we actually want to sell a particular type of website with a particular fee to a company that has a particular value, for example. But if we just went out and said school websites, that doesn't mean an accountant wouldn't come to us and buy a website. It just means that when we're talking to schools, we're talking in their language. And we might have an accountant persona as well. So the question that you need to ask yourselves is, how can you define the target audience, whether it be the size of the company, the staff, turnover, profits, whether it be the sector or industry that they're in, whether it be the location that they are in. Yes, we could serve globally, but perhaps we know Yorkshire better. We have better case studies in Yorkshire. We can get introductions easier in Yorkshire. So let's focus on Yorkshire. I'm not saying that stops you being global, but let's focus where we know we can win. Do we want to have companies that have the same values? Do we want to have companies that have particular departments? Do we know that our services work far better if there's an IT department? Or perhaps they work even better if there isn't an IT department, perhaps a HR department or not a HR department. So it's about defining these things. And then moving on to how you define the people. So we've defined the company, we now need to define the people. So how can we define the people? So that's based on their age, their gender, their location, their education, their job title. How's their job measured? That's really interesting. And who do they report to? So here you can start understanding pain points by understanding who they report to and how their job's measured, because typically those are the things that you need to be thinking about far more than the features, advantages, benefits of your products. It's around actually how can you help them in their role and their own objectives. So what are the things that you can do or put in place or say that gives them the ability to be able to deliver what it is they've been asked to deliver? And talking about the features and benefits and advantages actually it isn't engaging or relating directly to their pain point. So pain points are so much more important. What are their goals? What are their challenges? What tools do they use? How do they learn? Are they likely to be on Snapchat or Instagram, or would they prefer a phone call, or are they on Facebook, or are they on LinkedIn? How do they use LinkedIn? How do they use Facebook? Are they likely to go to a group? Are they likely to engage with a company page on LinkedIn? Probably not. So it's about thinking about how these types of people and how would they engage, and what's the and this might be a bit of research, it might be a bit of trying and testing. Go back to that OGSM, the objectives, goals, strategies and measures. Let's try doing some emails in LinkedIn. Okay, but how are we going to measure success, and who are we going to be talking to, who's the persona, and how often are we going to review this? Has it worked? If it hasn't, let's ditch it. If it has, let's do more of it. Kids, have they got kids? Have they got cars? What type of car? What type of hobbies? As I said, what are their pain points? And from an SEO point of view, can we think of optimizing our LinkedIn profiles, our website profiles, or websites with the keywords and questions that they are asking? What are the things that they're asking, and how can we ensure that we're using this language to not just be relevant, to also start appearing higher in Google? So I'm going to take a little pause here. Have we got any questions? Happy to go in any different way. We've got someone, why am I not getting the option to add services on my LinkedIn profile? I don't think on the personal profile you can add services. I think it's on a company profile, and I'm happy to look into this afterwards, but I'm not sure the exact answer to that question. I'm quite good on LinkedIn, but I'm not sure the exact answer to that question. Do we have any other thoughts or questions so far? No? Sure? This still helping? Put some yeses in there if it is. If it's not, put a question. Okay, good. Okay, so we've come up with 100% brilliant. Thanks, Andrew. Keep it coming, Johnny. I needed some water. My voice was going dry. So we've come up with. Let's just have a really quick recap here. So I want you to. So I think it's really important. So be agile, be creative, reach out to people. You've never written so much, Mark. Brilliant. Sean's just given me his password, I think. Be agile, be creative, reach out, be resourceful, help, entertain, understand your existing clients, understand potential clients, get their pain points, and really understand their pain points. And then be specific, what you're trying to achieve, put it into some kind of spreadsheet so that we've got the strategies and measures and we can measure stuff. Think about secondary options, consider all the different ways that we could approach people and talk, and the different angles that we can have. Think about the personas. And the key thing, and the reason I've just done this was to remind myself, because I knew I'd missed something. We come up with these personas and we have to give them a name. We absolutely have to give them a name. So I work with a serviced office company. And they have come up with a number of different personas. They have small business Steve. They have corporate Chris. They've got PA Polly. And they've got, there's another one and I can't remember it. But the key thing here is that when you're doing one of these types of marketings that I've got on the screen right now, you're thinking about the person. So I'm going to do an email. But I'm going to think of Chris, corporate Chris, because I'm going to talk in his language. I'm going to totally talk in his language. So when you send an email out, you need to have some personas in mind. When you do a tweet, you need to be thinking of, is this to Polly, or is this to Chris, or is this to Steve? When you have a website, you might have 15 personas. So when you've got a website, you might think of just having the top 3 personas on the homepage. So your homepage talks to the 3 key personas, and the other 10, 12 are somewhere deeper in the website. But every time you do any type of marketing, you need to be thinking of one of those personas. Asda, I talked to the head of digital at Asda many years ago. I always remember that it was more about time of day to do something on social media. But I always remember that their target audience was, I can't remember the name of the persona, which was important, of course, was typically a 30-year-old female mum. And the best time for them to send a Facebook post out was 3 p.m. in the afternoon, because they would be in the playground waiting to pick up their kids and glued to their phones. And if they didn't get, I think, 100 likes or comments within 60 seconds, they would delete the post and realize that it was crap. So, but that's a demonstration of how they've defined who it is that they're speaking to, and therefore managed to work out the time of day to speak to them as well. Mike's just asked a question. Do you have any advice on how you balance the needs of multiple personas if they have different tones of voices? Yeah, it's about so identifying the different personas, thinking about which are the ones that are really going to meet your objectives and goals, and then fair sharing it out. So if your objective, I want 100 members, but actually I think 50 of them are going to be persona A, persona B, C, D to Z might fill the other 50. So I'm going to focus on A, probably 50% of my marketing time, and then I'm going to spread the rest over the other time, if that makes sense. So it's fine to talk in different voices and languages, and it's about spreading it out how you think how you think people will buy from you. Okay. So last section, building trust. This is all well and good, but people only buy from people that they like or trust. Whenever you're in a situation of buying something, finance comes into the equation. But do I trust that person? Even if it's a company, even if you're a company selling to a company or a company buying from a company, it's people. It might be a number of people, but it's about understanding who the different roles are, the different personas within the organization. So you might have a PA Polly and a corporate Chris within the organization. So it's about understanding the different people, but it's about how can you build trust with them as well. So there's just some really simple ideas on how to build trust here. So we've got influencers. We've already talked about influencer marketing, how you can get people to influence you and to recommend you and talk about you. So a good example might be an accountant. Accountants talk to businesses all the time, and typically in their reviews will talk about how you might be able to buy better, or they might know someone that you should speak to. So could you find who the influencers are, the influencers of your personas, and try and have them as a persona to try and build trust with them? Stories, telling a story, that builds trust. It gives personality, actually. Personality builds trust. Getting to see someone, how they are, how they interact, and getting to the real bottom of them really helps you understand them and decide whether you like them or not, and whether you trust them or not. So what's your story? What stories can you tell? Which leads nicely into case studies. So what have you managed to achieve? Within a case study, it's about 3 sections. So it's about this was the problem, this was the solution, and this was the impact. Now, the impact is the most important part, and just like the objectives, goals, strategies, and measures, just like being smart, it has to have numbers. So keep going to the impact that you've written and say, yeah, but so what? And keep saying so what until you have some really good numbers in there. Keep saying, yeah, but so what? And if you haven't got good numbers, go back to the person that bought the service and ask them what the impact was, because you'll be amazed at the stuff that they've had to come up with to tell their senior, their manager or their boss what this has delivered. And you'll be amazed at some of the numbers that you might be able to get out of the client themselves. Could you write some thought pieces? Could you be controversial? Again, only for the sake of it, be authentic, but that builds trust. Who can you associate yourselves with? So that's about sponsorship, about working with collaboration. It's similar to the point below as well. It's about who can you associate yourself, what other brands, what other charities, what other causes, what other companies could you associate yourselves with, and that builds trust. Can you build your reviews? So Google have stopped Google reviews right now because of COVID. People were getting bad reviews, blaming it on coronavirus, or sorry, it was because of coronavirus, but blaming it on the company. So Google have stopped reviews to help during this time, but reviews will come back. And it's about what's your review strategy? How are you getting good Google Plus reviews? Google reviews, sorry, not Google Plus. LinkedIn recommendations, Facebook reviews, TripAdvisor, Trustpilot, reviews.io, loads of different places. I know a couple of you have to leave, but don't worry, I will finish on time at 11 o'clock. We've only got 3 minutes left, but thanks for coming if you did have to leave. But we won't go past 11, don't worry. And collaboration. So who can you collaborate with? Who can you work on joint projects with? Who can you I'm doing this seminar, this webinar for Leeds Digital Festival. That's an association, it's a collaboration, and it gives you it hopefully builds some kind of trust there as well. So we've covered lots of stuff. I've recapped as well. Building trust is a fundamental part to all of this. We've only got a couple of minutes left, so just reflect for a second and think about how you're going to build trust. The key thing here is to bite-size everything I've talked about right down, to bite-size it down to small little parts. So what's the little thing that you could do this afternoon or tomorrow to start building some trust? Even if that's just one, asking for a recommendation on LinkedIn, just one little thing. What's the small things that you could do? Because there's a lot of work here. But the key thing is bite-size it down and just do 10 minutes a day on some of these little things. We're coming to the end. There's more webinars in Leeds Digital Festival. Next week on Monday, the 27th at 2 o'clock, I'm going to be doing a webinar on search engine optimization. And I'm going to be doing some live audits. So you've got a chance to give me your website prior. So if you sign up, email me your website, and I will consider whether, I can't do them all, of course, but I will consider doing some live audits on, doing your live audit on yours. For previous webinars and for this one, if you Google YouTube Fleek Marketing, you'll find the Fleek Marketing YouTube channel, and this webinar will be there in about an hour's time. The last week's webinar is already there, so you can have a look at that. I'm also delivering for Adventure, the University of York, and Digital Enterprise over the coming weeks. If you go onto Fleek Marketing website and go to events, you'll see the events that are coming up. How can you help? How can I help? So give and receive business support amongst peers. Go to my Facebook group. I said there'd be a call to action. This is my call to action. Go to the Facebook group, Coronavirus Yorkshire Business Support. Help others network, receive business support, get through this, come up with ideas and share ideas. Challenge me. If you think this is a load of nonsense, let me know. When I close this seminar, when I finish this webinar, you're going to be redirected to a survey page. That's the only way I can learn. So please fill it out. Let me know if you thought it was a load of rubbish. Let me know if you thought it was good. Let me know your takeaways. I'm going to send you an email as well for a place to network afterwards on LinkedIn. And with some other resources. Thank you so much for coming. Enjoy the rest of Leeds Digital Festival. Thank you for being a part of this and being engaging. You will be able to access the recording. It'll be in an email that I'm sending you shortly. But if you Google YouTube Fleek Marketing, it will be there in about an hour's time. Enjoy your day. Stay safe. Stay at home. But get marketing. I'll see you all soon. All right. Take care.